We are live right now. This is actually Ring the Bell podcast number 25, believe it or not. Today we're discussing all things heavyweight, AJ versus Povetkin, Fury versus Wilder confirmed. And I'm here with my co host Nathan from Main Event Boxing Talk. And how are you, Nathan?
All right, how are you, mate?
I'm a little bit sick if you can't hear that already, but I'm marching and soldiering through. I've been working a little bit this morning. I'll go back to work again after lunchtime at 1:30ish. So yeah, I'm not bad. Soldiering on. Had a great weekend watching the boxing though.
Good.
We're gonna start with the AJ Povetkin card, but we're gonna leave the AJ Povetkin fight for last. Actually, we will talk about some of the fights on this card because it was actually a very good card. Did you catch any of the early fights on the card?
Only thing I caught was the Mendy fight and what was the other fight?
Matiaskin, Lawrence Coley. Well, I mean that was
I watched
fucking
4 rounds.
terrible.
I switched off.
Yeah. Sergey Kuzman, David Price. That was a brutal fight.
Didn't get to see that.
It. So what happened was it was four good rounds. It was 2 rounds to Kuzman and 2 rounds to David Price, but Price retired with a torn right bicep, which is a bummer. It's a proper shame. It's unfortunate. But Sergey Kuzman was pretty good about it. In the interview afterwards, he said, "We'll do a rematch in Russia. You can come over when your arm's healed up, and we'll fight again." So it wasn't a terrible performance from David Price. He actually landed some big shots in there. He got clipped a couple of times, but he was boxing pretty well. And it is actually a shame that his bicep went. I would like to see the rematch, and fair play to Kuzman for being an upstanding guy and pretty much confirming that he will take the rematch. So,
Right, my
uh,
opinion with David Price is that he should forget any rematches. He needs to get a win first. He needs to get healthy and he needs a couple of easy fights just to get back on the score sheet. Because as it stands, another loss would kill his career completely.
to be honest with you, I think he can beat. He was boxing well in this fight. He might have been very tired. I think he was pretty drained as well. But I think maybe you're right. Maybe he should just box some road sweeper from.
Or if not, retire. Because he won't have
The
got place for
the
him to go.
the thing is, if he beats Kuzman, he's probably going to get a shot for a number one contender. So the thing is, like, it is worth if he can get his bicep healed. I think he should take the rematch, take the money. If he loses, he can retire. If he wins, he might get a number one contender shot at the WBA title.
We need to be honest. The guy has a chin made of glass. His stamina's crap. He's on his way out.
But
I don't think he's
could he beat Trevor Bryan or Fraser Quendo?
I'm not so sure. He
I
should.
think he could beat Fraser Quendo. I think he could beat Trevor Bryan. And I think that's the thing. When you're looking at the WBA, which we'll talk about this later because we've got to talk about Manuel Char, there's a few title opportunities there that just shouldn't
Oh,
be.
there is now.
So it's a crazy division, and David Price could still even get a world title before he
Well, there you
retires.
go. What's
That's how
that?
crazy. I know. But it's amusing. But I actually caught the fight before that one as well. It was Shakram Gyasov versus Julio Laguna, and Gyasov looked pretty tame for the first 2 or 3 rounds, and then he stepped it up in the fourth round and got the stoppage, and it was quite a brutal finish. He's a good little welterweight, but the problem for him is he weighed in at 143 and a quarter pounds. So he's actually a very small welterweight. And I would think it might suit him to weigh 140. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're going to come up against guys at welterweight who only just make 147. So if you come in underneath 147, you're a tiny welterweight, really. So I think he should move down to 140 if he can make it. But he's an interesting little fighter, that guy. He's the guy that lost to Danny Yulusinov in the Olympic final. So it'll be interesting to see how far both of those go in the pro ranks. Matty Askin versus Lawrence Okoli. Now, I want to give this fight absolutely zero time of day because this was fucking awful. It was atrocious. Lawrence Okoli is a terrible fighter. He's good in the sense that he's big, he's gangly, he can tie you up, and he's annoying to fight. But he falls in behind his punches. Pretty much every power shot he throws, he falls in and clinches. He holds. He does everything dirty in the book, and he was lucky not to be disqualified in this fight. Even Eddie Hearn, his own promoter, agreed with the 3 point deduction and suggested he could have even been disqualified. When your own promoter says that, it's a shocker, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
it was awful to watch. It proper. I mean, I'm glad Wembley hadn't filled up too much by this point. Seriously, because it would have put off some of those casual fans from boxing. Matty Askin was kind of unlucky with the decision, I feel. He lost comfortably, but with the point deductions and the possible disqualification, I don't know if you deserve to lose a British title in that manner. I think it was Matty Askin's fault a little bit because instead of trying to box from angles or show Lawrence Okoli something different, he just came straight at him and let Okoli tie him up. So I mean, it was both of their faults. The styles didn't gel. It was just a stinker of a
All
fight.
I'm going to say is styles make fights, and also to only win the British Cruiserweight title as 10 fight, I think that's pretty good. You know,
It's pretty good, but you've got to look at the way he did it. And to be honest with you, it wasn't great. It was probably the worst British Cruiserweight title fight in history. I can't. If someone can find me and Nathan a worse British Cruiserweight title fight, please link it somewhere and I'll watch it and judge it because I don't believe it. I don't believe one exists. But yeah, fair, you are right. We do have to give Okoli his credit. He dealt with Watkins and he dealt with Chamberlain.
Is pretty good.
Yeah, but it showed. It showed, man. And to be honest with you, like you're talking Usyk, you're talking Bradis, you're talking a lot of top guys at cruiserweight.
He's not that level.
We watched that cruiserweight division, W World Boxing Super Series, and we know Okoli is not that level. We just know it. Like, sorry, Okoli, but
he could probably get to European level at a push.
Easily. He's such a big, gangly, annoying guy. He's like a small heavyweight in the cruiserweight division. So he does have some natural advantages that lead him to getting better. But also, you know, there have been some fighters who improved from their 10th to their 20th fight enough. So maybe they've just got to take it slowly with him. But he's met his level at the moment. If you put him in with someone harder than Matty Askin right now, he'd lose to him. It was a close enough fight already, and it was terrible to watch.
Big step up for him, and that was a good win. I know it wasn't a pretty fight, but he got the win. He got the belt.
He got the win. He got the belt. You're right. You're 100% right on all of that. I just feel like, you know, they were talking about moving him on, but I think he should probably defend that British. And
if I can compare it to him, Tony Bellew took him a long time to get to any sort of world level, didn't it? You know, it took him.
It did. But he was a light heavyweight at the time that he got to.
There wasn't that many good fighters about him.
There was some, but it's just such a different level of caliber. I know Usyk's moving up to heavyweight, but you've still got Bradis, you've still got Gassiev, you've still got guys that are going to do very well in the cruiserweight division. So yeah, it's hard to see Okoli near the world level anytime soon. But you know, there is some fights out there for him. I think possibly get him the likes of a Fonfara or a Masternak, someone like that.
That would be
Uh,
perfect.
yeah, here's the thing though, right? Lawrence Okoli's ranked 20th in the world, yeah, and Mike Perez is ranked 16th. I think Mike Perez would be a terrible fight for Okoli.
Yeah. It's a
From
shame there's
get
no Oval Mackenzies about.
That's true. That's true. You see, you've got Ilunga Makabu, but even that's a tough fight. I
Too
know
too
Tony
quick.
Bellew dealt with him, but that doesn't mean Okoli will deal with him so easily. Junior Dorticus at number 11.
Oh, too hard. Where's
Kevin
he ranked?
Larena. Dorticus is
Where
11th.
where is
Oh,
Okoli?
Okoli's 20th. So I mean, he's
Oh,
quite high up.
really?
Andrew Tabiti, Denis Lebedev, Maskim Vlasov, Christoph Glovacki, Murat Gassiev, Tony Bellew, Maris Bradis, Alexander Usyk. It's a hard road to the top, man. That's just the truth of it. It is a
How old
hard
is he?
road.
20, 25?
Let me go back and check quickly.
Is it 27?
Cody, I think he's a bit younger than that. I think you were right closer with your first guess. 25. Yeah, 25.
So he's got 3 years to develop some
He is 6 foot
skill.
five as well, man. This is the thing about him. If there is a chance that by the end of his career he moves up to heavyweight anyway, so it's
I
interesting.
mean, he's got to hope he develops David Haye type power.
He has power. There's no doubt he has power. He just needs to not fall in behind it. He
Do
needs
you
to
think if
sit. He doesn't sit down on his punches. He doesn't throw combinations. He needs to learn that if he learns those tricks, how to throw a straight right from range and get back out of range without falling in,
the problem
he'll
with
be
Okoli
good.
is that he's been rushed. He's been rushed, I think, too quickly with a lot of
Yes,
build-up.
yes. I think that Isaac Chamberlain was perfect timing. I think Luke Watkins was a good fight, but he was kind of lucky to get Watkins down and out of there. I think it was a good finish, a good fight, but I think yeah, I think they've got to be careful now because he's come very close in this Matty Askin fight to losing. The scorecards were 114, 112, 114, 113. And he almost got disqualified. So they're going to want to line him up with someone who's going to take him rounds, but that isn't going to get into a clinch fest with him because he needs to practice from range. He needs to practice shots from the outside and his movement. He's a very awkward, gangly guy, and I do think you were asking me who could be the Audley Harrison of.
It would be him, wouldn't
It could well be. He could be a knockout waiting to happen because he fights so strange, and I think those big cruiserweights. I mean, he's big, he's tall, but he's not muscle developed. I don't like
it? Let's
if
be
you look at
honest.
him, he's wily, isn't he? He's
Looking at that
gangly.
top 20, you just said he doesn't beat anyone for me in the top 20.
He
I
beats
don't
a
think any
couple of them,
contenders.
maybe like 18 and 17, but Mike Perez is number 18.
He wouldn't beat Perez. He wouldn't beat
So
Ferit Arsenal, who's a former world champion. He wouldn't
yeah,
beat any
yeah.
of those guys. But I just don't see it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I agree. It's a hard road to the top. It's a hard road to the top, man. Let's talk about the Luke Campbell Evan Mendy fight. This was a good performance by Luke Campbell. This is exactly what he needed. Now, Evan Mendy is a tough cat. He he's not a great boxing stylist, but he looks to put pressure on you and he looks to hit you when he's in range. And Luke Campbell did well to box him, keep him at bay. He used the jab well, straight right well, put together combos by the end of the fight. He looked pretty good. This is what we expected him to do the first time round to Mendy, and he did it. Thank God he did it the second time round.
He did it
Um,
easily.
he did it easily. You're right. You're right. But it's still good to go back and address your losses. I think, if he could get Linares in a year or two when Linares has
He
slipped
probably
a
could.
bit, he might even be able to avenge the Linares losses as well. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. It was a good fight, very good fight for Luke Campbell, particularly, and I think he deserves that world title shot. I think he probably if Mikey Garcia decides he wants to keep that belt, he loses to
No,
Mikey Garcia,
he
doesn't he?
doesn't. He needs to forget about that fight. That's not realistic. He
No.
needs
So
to.
he
He
needs to
needs to.
hope Mikey Garcia drops the belt, and then he can fight somebody for the
Anthony Crolla.
vacant title. That would be a great fight.
Well,
I
he'd
think
beat Crolla.
Crawler. The problem is Crawler's probably not in line for a world title shot at the moment. He's not had a big enough win recently.
I
If
have
you,
to be honest. He's a level above that guy. He's a level above Corral. He is.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, he's the number one ranked lightweight. I tell you what, though, I think Lewis Ritson will be the number one ranked
In
lightweight
about
in the
2 years.
UK.
About
Even
2
in a
years.
year, he's too powerful for that division. He's crazy
How old
powerful.
is he? 23.
Ritson's still young. Yeah, he's still young. Let me check his
I think
age.
in about 2 years he'll be there.
He's
But Campbell's
25 actually, but it's kind of the perfect age for that division. Campbell's already 30. But yeah, no, seriously, in terms of what's going on at lightweight, I think if you look, he's actually ranked number 4 in the world now, Luke Campbell.
yeah.
Lomachenko number 1, obviously. Garcia number 2,
Garcia.
fair enough. Jorge Linares
Garcia
number
is.
3, then Luke Campbell. Then it's Pedraza, Easter Jr., Richard Comey,
If you look
Anthony
at
Crolla.
Luke Campbell, he's inside the top 6 fighters in the world, and you wouldn't pick him to beat any of the top 3 right now.
That's kind of true. I think he could beat Linares in a rematch. I think
Yeah.
that would be a close fight again. As long as he didn't get knocked down early, it could be even closer.
But Lomachenko and Garcia will both be moving up within a year anyway.
Yes. Yes, and Luke Campbell, honestly, he doesn't want either of those work. Like, I like Luke Campbell, but Mikey Garcia hits like a truck for that weight class, and I think he knocks Luke Campbell out. And Vasyl
So,
Lomachenko is like fighting Neo in the Matrix, so
but
I think
Eddie
he
Hearn,
probably.
fighters like Lomachenko, these fighters are not meant to stay in these kind of divisions. They move up. You know.
Yeah, yeah. But they were well. Lomachenko will move up. Garcia has moved up and then moved back down, and then it's odd, isn't it? And then Jorge Linares is coming to the end of his career as well, so it's an
But then the
interesting scene.
WBC could just give him the belt. They could elevate him to the champion. Couldn't they?
No,
Which
no.
they could.
They could,
They
but
won't
I'd
do it.
rather see him fight like I don't know. He could
Robert
fight
Easter Jr. or something like that.
exactly. That's a good title fight. Robert Easter Jr., Luke Campbell. I actually picked Luke Campbell to win that just. But it's a great fight. It could go either way. I think if the WBC want to make serious fights, that is that's a great fight to make.
But I wouldn't put it past him them giving him an interim title, making him the interim
Hell,
champion,
even
and then giving him the belt.
Jose Pedraza would be a decent
Right.
enough,
He's
decent
tough,
enough fight.
but we want a happy ending for Campbell, don't we? You know, we want the story for him.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean,
You know, for
I
me,
think he'll be a world champion. I don't think there's any doubt in that.
but we always knew he was going to be a sort of future world champion. It's just he had to go through his dad
And fulfill it.
2 fights
And
make him the fighter he is now.
sure, he has to fulfill that potential that we know he had. He has a bad amateur style for turning pro with, and it's taken him a while to get used to the pro game. But with that fight against Mendy, he's shown that he's ready to he's adapted to the pro game now.
If you go back and watch the first fight, he's a different fighter from 3 years ago. Like, I remember watching him getting dropped, thinking he's never going to be anything. But then he's come back and he's proved to everybody that he is the fighter we all think he is.
Yeah, he's a lot less panicky when he's under pressure. That was the biggest difference. When Mendy was standing in front of him ready to throw, instead of running and fleeing and panicking, he actually waited for Mendy to throw before dodging. And that's the big difference. If you time the dodges and get out of there, you're fine. If you panic under pressure, a bit like David Price used to or still does, you tire quickly, and that's why Campbell was so close to getting stopped in the first fight. So, yeah, I think he looked a lot better. He looked a lot better in there. Let's talk about the big guns. Anthony Joshua, Alexander Povetkin, for the IBO, WBA, WBO, IBF belts. That's a shit ton of belts, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Povetkin was down twice in the seventh round, but up until that point, he'd actually looked good in spots and had AJ in trouble, in my opinion. He definitely wobbled AJ in round one. I know you will have seen that moment. Kind of buckled at the knees for a second there, which shows you Povetkin still hits fucking hard, man. David Hay was very right about this fight, actually. He said Povetkin will be a nightmare. He'll bob and weave a little bit. I don't want to bring Mike Tyson comparisons, but there was some
Yeah.
things in there he was doing that were very Mike Tyson-esque. The sort of bob, weave, jump hook sort of thing. It was very impressive. You could tell Povetkin was there to win the fight. And AJ settled into the fight slower than before. He had to be very cautious. He had to take his time. He set up this little trap where he was jabbing very weakly to the body, and that's kind of what set up the finishing in round seven, where AJ kind of took over the fight quite convincingly after landing a heavy right hand. So yeah, very impressive win for Anthony Joshua. He had to do a lot of things in there that we'd not seen him do before. Box on the back foot, lateral movement, dodge big swinging hooks. He looked pretty accomplished as a boxer in there, actually, and that's something I didn't expect. What do you think about that?
I think he was doing different things. He was risking different things, trying different stuff in the fight like that. I mean, to have the balls to do that, yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. I think he looked very. I think he looked very good. I originally I thought Wilder might knock him out. Now I don't think so. I think he
And you know,
probably. No, I don't think so. I think he's too good a boxer now. I think he's just too silky skilled now. And I think he'd unless Fury gets back to 100% fitness, he probably beats Fury at his own game right now, which is a
not by much.
horrible, not by much, but I think he does because it's not a good thing to have to admit. But whereas Tyson Fury's trying to regain what he had, AJ's been adding slowly, little by little, to what he already has, whilst not losing the stuff that he's already learned. And so I think he's at a good level right now. I think it's going to be a very tough job for anyone to beat him because he'll show you something different. He'll quite happily box on the back foot against Wilder and let Wilder wear himself out, swinging and missing. I think that's a very likely possibility. So yeah, I think AJ's honed his craft a lot more than people realize or want to give him credit for. Obviously, he has the casual support, the casual backing, but I urge anyone to go back and watch this fight and watch what he did to Povetkin in there. He tamed the beast and then finished put the beast away, put him down. So it was a very, very impressive performance for me against a top guy. And the one thing you can say for Povetkin is he probably came in a little bit too light, didn't he? 15
Oh yeah,
stone 9 or something. So that was odd. I wouldn't even be surprised if Povetkin fails a drugs test after this fight
I
because
think
he was
so.
the lightest he's ever been since 2009. That's crazy. Think about that. That's 9 years ago, and he's 37, 38 now, 39. So he's lighter at 39 than he was at 30. Now, I mean, it's possible. You don't need drugs to do that, but
Like Lucas Brown, you're thinking the same thing as Lucas.
yeah, it's similar, isn't it? It's a similar thing. We know that he's failed drugs tests before. When you see somebody aging, getting older, but getting lighter and stronger, it makes you question it, doesn't it? That's my personal opinion on that one. Great fight though, great fight. I hope he doesn't fail a drugs test because it wouldn't really matter. He lost the fight convincingly anyway. So, um, yeah, interesting stuff. We have a lot of other stuff to talk about. Char, talking about this is a great segue because we're talking about drugs tests and failing drugs tests. Manuel Char, he failed a drugs test that is very surprising because he's not a guy that looks like he doesn't look roided up much, does he? I'm looking at his
No.
pictures here. He actually used to when he was younger, but in his last few fights, he's looked flabbier and older. He don't look like he's someone who's juicing. But then Erkan Tepe proves fully that you don't need to look like you're taking drugs to be taking performance enhancing drugs. Yeah, I'm reading here. His test, he tested positive for 2 banned substances, not just one, which is impressive. Anabolic steroids, epitrabolone, and drostanolone. So he was doubling up, double trouble on the old steroids, man. That's pretty crazy. So yeah, it could be that his old fight is ruled a no contest as well.
I hope not. No, I wouldn't have thought so because it wouldn't affect the fight, would it?
Uh, yeah, it would affect the Ustinov fight because he would have been doping for that fight. That's the test that he's failed.
Is that correct? I thought
Yeah, so Ustinov might get another shot at the title.
God's sake.
Ustinov versus Oquendo. What a fight. Oh, oh, it's great. It's just great. Great for boxing, all this shit, isn't it? Fucking hell. The WBA, but yeah, Oquendo's just saying they should just make me champion.
Is that what you said that they should do, shouldn't they? Give him the belt.
In his quest for the Oquendo, so basically, Oquendo's been waiting to fight for that WBA title for like 5 or 6 years because Shannon Briggs fucking failed a drugs test, and someone else failed a drugs test before, and now fucking Char. He must be the most unlucky guy in the world. His career is hanging on to this title shot, and it's just never coming. Oh shit, man.
It's all a bit embarrassing, isn't
it's not a good look for the WBA. We were already mocking them for their yeah, they've got fucking 3 heavyweight world titles right now. So shit's peak, mate. Shit is peak. That is not good look. Fury versus Wilder. Now, I've been out of the loop with this. I stopped listening. I stopped caring. Has it actually been confirmed?
I believe it has, yeah. I'm going to check on BoxRec now. I believe it has.
If it's not added on BoxRec, it doesn't exist.
Let me have a look. I think it does. Go into it now. Yeah,
I've seen. It exists. Yeah, okay. I mean, it exists,
Los Angeles,
but
California.
on the 1st of December.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that a little bit unbelievable? September, October, November. It's possible. It's possible. Fair enough. Eh, my God, Tyson Fury shouldn't be taking this fight, should he?
It's a bit silly, really.
If he loses this, right, where does he go?
He'll get fights again. You know, he'll just have to fight easy fights, and he'll just have to work his way the proper way, like he's supposed to.
He will, right? But the heavyweight scene could all just go on around him after this moment. This could set into a chain of events where he never sees a world title again. What could happen is, basically, he loses to Wilder, which I think is the bookie's likely thing to happen because of Tyson Fury's fitness. Even most Tyson Fury fans would admit Tyson Fury's probably not in the position to take this fight yet. And then AJ versus Wilder happens with probably a rematch clause. And so if AJ versus Wilder goes close or it's a draw, that's going to be like 2 or 3 years where those titles, all four belts, are locked up with two guys.
And it's not the best, is it? That?
It's not a great idea. It's not great for the heavyweight scene at that point if that happens. It's the same thing that happened to the welterweights when Mayweather had all the belts and was holding them up, fighting different guys at different times. So yeah, it's interesting for me. I'm happy the fight's made in some ways. I think it will be good. BT have actually put out posters for it now and everything, so it seems like it really is happening. Anthony Joshua put out a poll asking who he should fight next on Twitter, and obviously Wilder won drastically, like massively by a huge score. No, and obviously I agree with that, really. It's one of those things. Fury, if he beat Wilder, I think that poll would change. I think if Fury had the WBC belt, most people would want to see Fury AJ.
But I'm not going to write him off. There's a chance he'll win it, but then there's a chance he won't.
Yeah, well, there's a chance Tony Bellew will beat Usyk, but he's not going to.
No, exactly.
There's always a chance in heavyweight and cruiserweight boxing that someone just goes to sleep. But let's face it, it's more likely that Fury goes to sleep than Wilder because Wilder's a much bigger puncher. That's the truth of it. If Fury was on point and fit, he would dance rings round Wilder and make him look pretty stupid. But because he's not, he's going to back up to the ropes and probably get hit at some point. And so I don't even feel like I want to watch the fight too much because I kind of know what's going to happen.
His age has got his inactivity's gotten the best of him.
Well, it's his size still. He's still about 1.5 stone or 2 stone overweight. And if he does this training camp, where if he takes all of the excess weight he's still got off in one training camp, it could leave him very weak and diminished for the fight. So it's too crazy for me. He really did need one more step up fight against, someone who's going to give him some rounds and some trouble, and he's kind of jumped in at the deep end. Like, if anyone can do it, it's Tyson Fury. I just think that's what the heart says. The head says Wilder's in the right place, the right time to beat Fury.
Yeah, I think the problem is that he's in the 3 years he's been away, everybody else has got better.
That's true.
That's all there is to,
That's true. And I don't even know if Wilder's got much better. He's got more confident because of the win over Ortiz, and he's still been active and he's fit. I think that's the only real key difference. If Wilder blew himself up out of shape each camp, it would be a different story. But Wilder's a professional athlete. That's one thing you have to say for Wilder.
Really, is he?
Even with Wilder's shoulder injury and time between defenses, he still stayed in good shape. He didn't drink a load of beer and eat a load of pies and snort a load of cocaine. So I think that's gonna be the difference. The pies, the beer, and the cocaine. Literally. I think that's what will make the difference on fight night, as sad as it is to say.
That's just the truth of it, isn't it? Anyway.
Sadly so. So I heard Lucas Brown has been confirmed for a fight.
That's correct.
Against who exactly?
Julius. Do you want me to pull his record up for you?
Julius Long. Oh my God. 18 and 20, New Zealander.
Look down at his record from 2001.
Yeah, I'm seeing here.
You'll see Audley Harrison's name.
That's fucking 6 degrees of Audley Harrison. You know the game 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
We actually seem to be able to play it with Audley Harrison on BoxRec every time. He's always linked to some heavyweight somehow. Did he lose to Audley Harrison? That's the real
In 2
question.
rounds. I mean, I'm gonna
I
quickly
think we
bring
got.
up on YouTube, and you will see the knockout. I'll quickly go to it.
I think we've got to. I think we've got to. I think we've got to predict a Lucas Brown win here, don't we? Look, he went on a run
Yeah,
of.
but Lucas Brown. Look at Lucas Brown's record, and you'll see something else weird. He's already fought
Okay.
this guy.
Really?
Yeah, have a look at the record. It took him 9
Oh
rounds.
yeah, he does. 2015, yeah.
And Audley Harrison knocked him out in one round, 12 years earlier.
Yeah, that's crazy. It shows you just how small the New Zealand and Australian boxing scene is, that this guy can still get semi-decent fights. Julius Long, wow. Name from the past there. He went on a 10 or 12 fight losing streak against Adlanius Solis, Ustinov, Ray Austin, Marius Watt, Kelvin Price, Maurice Harris, Kevin Johnson, Jonathan Banks, Jason Bergman. So yeah, that weren't a great run. That was 2007 to 2012, a 5-year losing streak of just terrible fights. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's an interesting fight. I can't believe we're even having to talk about it. What was the other one?
Why I even added it, to be honest.
No. Oh, Tepa Hellenius. Now that's more interesting. Is Hellenius fit? That's going to be the big question, because the last time we saw Hellenius, he was horrendously unfit. The Nordic Nightmare. He was. He's had a couple of wins since the loss to Dillian White.
Look at this guy.
They're against terrible.
But this guy's
yeah.
Twice, and this guy's like, look at his record.
Yeah, Yuri Bakastu. He's the number one boxer in Belarus, mate. I don't know what you're talking about.
Not exactly hard, is it?
He's the number one heavyweight in the whole of Belarus, mate.
How many champions
out of 6
are there in it? 6.
1 out of 6.
For the Belarus heavyweight title.
He is currently a cruiserweight, so I don't know if he has actually.
Oh,
He's a 6'1" cruiserweight, and Hellenius has fought him twice recently.
Hellenius just wanted the wins, didn't he? He just needed the wins,
I suppose so. I think what happened was the first fight was a split decision, and it was close. So they did a 6-rounder to settle it, and Hellenius won on a UD. Now he's got to fight Erkan Tepa. Look, to be honest with you, Hellenius wins this fight if he's even half fit. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Here's the caveat. If Erkan Tepa is on some extra sauce, he could knock out Hellenius, but Tepa's been fucking awful since he came off the drugs. In fact, he's got a few wins since his loss against Wack, but they're against sort of not the best opposition. So yeah, it's kind of a fight of 2 aging heavyweights that one of them might get back into the picture for a big fight, and the other one should probably retire. That's kind of how I see that. Then I did want to cover one last little topic. There's a massive fight happening this very weekend. Callum Smith fighting George Groves.
Can we talk about the undercard first? George Groves' Eubanks on it, isn't it?
Is he really? Is he fighting JJ McDonough? Is that true? Oh my god. Eubank Jr. is going to just continue his career of beating up absolute fucking nobodies, isn't he? Now look, I don't want to be a dick, but JJ McDonough had a good win against Jake Paul. But since then, he has done fucking nothing. He beat a 5-12 guy in a bar in Tijuana. Rancho Grande Bar, Tijuana. Literally, he went and beat a Mexican journeyman in a pub, basically. Then he had a big fight, a 3 rounder, right? A 3 round fight against Roy Sheehan, and he lost it by unanimous decision.
How can
Then
you
he had
lose a
another fight
professional fight?
at Nationals. I don't know. You can technically think about prize fighter and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
Then he had another 3 round fight, which he won in TKO against Jared Healy, who was 7-4-1.
hasn't he won
So
against Trump?
no,
No, he's Irish.
since his win against Jake Paul, he's done fuck all, literally, basically fuck all, and he hasn't improved in any dramatic way. Uh, and so I expect Eubank Jr. to put a show on against him. But who the fuck cares? Who wants to watch that?
Eubank, I mean, but in the scheme of things, De Gale's coming back soon as well, in an 8 rounder. So
Look, Eubank's 20. Eubank's 29 now, right?
Yeah.
And he's got to make moves to get anywhere in the super middleweight division. And I just think, okay, this is a comeback fight. It's not that bad. But we need to see him step up after this fight. Otherwise, I'm just going to stop caring about him. I could easily see him going and fighting. He could get that fight, but he could also possibly go and get the IBO title again. There's many things he could do. That, yeah. But what does that say about Eubank Jr.? What does that say about him?
That he's a picker, but a world title is a world title, isn't it?
I agree, but
he's a two-time world champion, WBA interim middleweight, and IBO super middleweight. If you want to be, hilarious.
that is hilarious. Some of the other fights on the card: Darren Surtees versus Kane Baker. Aliou Bamidele Lasisi versus Artid Bamarungia. Kem Lundqvist versus Murad Omar. Mikhail Laval versus Tamas Cosma. Basically, you're getting the point that you've never heard of any of these fuckers, right?
Yeah.
What a shit undercard. I hope this is pay-per-view, right?
Yeah.
How much?
I want to see the fight.
How much is it?
I may.
How much is it?
Let me look at it.
Because if it's £20,
I won't be paying
that is abysmal. If it's like a tenner, that's all right. That is acceptable. I think if they were trying to charge 20 quid for that, it would be an abomination. I'll look it up too. 16.95. Oof. Oof. Oof, mate.
I'll stream.
Oh, that's fucking outrageous in my opinion. The fight will be available on ITV box office for 17 quid. And Grove's shoulder, think about it. Grove's shoulder could just go in the first round. Imagine that. Everybody tunes in, 16.95. Don't even bother watching the undercard because it's shit. And then Grove's shoulder just pops out and he retires in the first round.
Card was free, right, on the telly, and that was free.
Yeah, but we knew that the finals were all going to cost money. But I think this one should have been a tenner. I really do. I think $9.99. A lot of people would have stomached that. They would have paid that for the final. 17 quid for one fight. There's only one half decent fight on the whole fucking show. Ugh. Oh, sorry, Sauerland, but this was not a winner. This was not a good look. Not a good look in my estimation. £17 for a pile of shite. I mean, the final's great, but it's not worth that, in my opinion. It's just one person's opinion. I don't mock people who are going to buy it or do want to pay for it to support the tournament. Whatever, you
Will you
do
be watching
you.
it on the stream or will you be watching it on YouTube the next day? I'll probably watch it on YouTube the next day.
Well, for me, I can't even buy the pay-per-views because I'm in Cambodia.
So what
So
will you stream?
I have no problem streaming it illegally and watching it
Will
that
it still
way.
be on YouTube the next day anyway, not on Daily Motion? It'll be on
I
there.
assume so. I've noticed that Sauerland and his crew aren't as quick with the takedowns as Sky and HBO or some of the other companies. So it's possible, very possible. I wanted. Oh, sorry, you first.
Carry on, no, carry on.
No, you first.
No, because what I was going to say is completely relevant to what we're saying. So if you carry on.
Well, I was just going to shift topic as well. So I was looking at boxing news and I saw that Teddy Atlas is going to be on the Joe Rogan podcast, which could be hilariously interesting. It's like Joe Rogan does long form 3 hour podcasts, and Teddy Atlas is prone to just exploding and going off the rails. So it could be great. It could be great.
I can tell you a story about Teddy Atlas. He threatened another
Please.
person with a gun.
Yes, because I know this story. Yes.
In a conference when what was it, not Evander Holyfield, Michael Moorer was fighting George Foreman. He went up to George Foreman and started pushing him.
That's crazy. He's a crazy dude. It'll be fascinating to hear his stories on the podcast. I bet he's got a lot of them. I was just pointing that out for people that might want to watch it. Here's an interesting piece of news that I don't know if you've heard yet. Anthony Crolla versus Duard Jordan added to Usyk Bellew card.
Oh, WBA eliminator, yeah. I did see that.
Yes. So Crolla has won his last 2 fights against Edison Ramirez and Ricky Burns after losing 2 in a row to Jorge Linares. Crolla's 12-round unanimous decision over Ricky Burns last year was questionable. I don't know. I felt Crolla won that fight. It was a fight that could have gone either way.
Too much left.
Both fighters looked poor. Crolla got the nod, but didn't show anything in the fight that suggests he would have a chance at the top lightweights in the world. I agree. You can argue that WBA contender Jorge Linares deserves to be in the WBA title eliminator more than Crolla. So this is a title eliminator. Wow. So Crolla will actually probably get another world title shot because I expect him to beat. After the Ricky Burns win, I don't know. I did say back then that he'll probably get another. I said whoever wins out of Ricky Burns and Crolla will get another world title shot before they retire.
The thing I respect more about Crolla than Ricky Burns is Ricky Burns gets title shots handed to him time and time again, whereas Anthony Crolla doesn't. He has to work his arse off to get
Yeah, and he got hard title shots against hard guys.
Whereas Ricky Burns just gets handed.
Exactly. Like, to be fair to Crolla, it was obvious he was always going to lose that Jorge Linares rematch, but at least he tried. Well, at least he tried. He went to win. He didn't go there to lose. So
he didn't shame himself, disgrace himself.
Exactly.
But if you put him in there, but the thing is, since he was champion a year and a half to 2 years ago, other people have come along that have just got better. You know, like your Ritsons and your Campbells.
Yeah, I think that's a possible. That's a very, very possible fight in the future as Crolla retires, because it would sell well in Newcastle.
3 fights left.
It would sell well in Manchester.
Yeah. These 2 or 3 fights, he may go for a British title. And he was never meant to get this far in his career, really.
So Bellew is certain he's going to knock Usyk out, and yet I've never seen Usyk wobbled, stunned, put down on the floor. I've never seen anything close to that. Have you?
No, not really. I've seen him.
And he fought Joe Joyce, and you'd expect Joe Joyce has got a lot more power than Tony Bellew, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's fucking crazy, isn't he? Like, if he goes in there to bang Usyk out, Usyk's going to pick him to pieces.
I mean, basically, his game plan is going there, knock his head off. That's it. But
Well, it's a terrible.
Age David Hay, who is like about 10 years out of his prime, and you know, you can't
It's
get
a
headed over.
it's a terrible fucking game plan against Usyk. Like it could work against. He was quite clever against David Hay, but he knew David Hay had aged enough to be clever and smart against him. Tony Bellew's dodges that worked against David Hay aren't going to work against Usyk. Usyk's a lot faster than David Hay ever was.
In Hay's prime, I mean, I wouldn't. He wasn't faster than Usyk, and he wasn't slower than Usyk.
He might have been a similar pace, but watch when Usyk puts together combinations. He's got faster hands than David Hay ever had. Maybe he's not as powerful as David Hay, but he puts together his combos quicker, I think. I think it's just a terrible fight for Tony Bellew. Oh, for sure. Imagine if Usyk and Gassiev and Bradis were all around whilst Hay was at cruiserweight. Hay never would have been a unified champion, undisputed cruiser. Never.
He beat old guys.
He never.
He beat a guy.
I mean, Gassiev, Bradis, and Usyk are bigger than some of the guys Hay beat at heavyweight. That's the truth of it. I know Hay took on Valuev, who was a giant.
Valuev was a giant.
Exactly, and Klitschko, who was a giant. But if you look at some of other David Hay heavyweight fights, some of the cruiserweights of this era are bigger now. That's what's so fucking scary about cruiserweight and heavyweight these days. Exactly. So, did you see Joshua say he still wants to fight Wilder even if Fury wins?
Yeah, I thought that was a bit silly thing to say.
It was not a smart media-guided comment. He should just say, I won all the belts. Whoever has the belts will fight the champion, because that's what the champion should do, right? That's the smart answer. I think basically the problem is if Fury wins, Wilder will have a rematch clause, right? So that belt could be tied up for a long time anyway. There was a couple of. Oh, sorry. You first. Go on.
News this week.
Yeah.
Enzo Calzaghe.
Yes, I saw that. You almost said Matt Cronelli there.
I don't know why I said that.
Well, it's similar. How many Enzos are there? Yeah, it is sad, very sad. I actually saw that it got put out a little bit early that he'd died, but he was just very sick.
Not bad for a guy who started as an immigrant from Italy. You know.
Yeah, a lot of people said he was fucking crazy, like actually clinically insane, like which makes it even more impressive. And apparently, there's not many people with a bad word to say about him, so I think we'll just leave it at that. Rest in peace to a legend of the sport of boxing.
And raised a guy who's one of the best fighters to ever come
from these isles. Yeah, for sure, no doubt about that. No doubt about that at all. Yeah, I think that was most of the news. Did you have anything you particularly wanted to add? I mean, what I would say, Tyson Fury needs to stop being a whiny, bitter little girl, doesn't he? Some of this stuff, man. Like, I think it's now safe to say AJ and his team are a pack of shithouses and will rob the British boxing fans of Britain's biggest fight. They will never fight me ever. Way too slow and ponderous. Can't box eggs. I mean, come on, mate. Do you know the one of the things that really you need to learn is to be able to give another man you don't like credit for the things he does well. That's
Yeah,
something that's very important in life. Even if you don't like someone, even if you hate them, even if you think they're scum, you still need to recognize what they do well. Otherwise, they'll beat you because you're not looking at it properly. And I think Fury's a bit crazy with this AJ hatred, man. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think he just hates the fact that AJ's got the limelight and the money and that, and all the talk is about AJ.
he's trying to stay relevant. So
Sorry
people
about
forget
that.
about it. He's just trying
Yeah,
to
but
stay
I
relevant.
don't think he needs to. I mean, he's fighting Deontay Wilder. Like, what would have been a smarter tweet is, right? A much smarter tweet. Great win, AJ, right? But that won't be enough to beat me after I smash up Wilder. Something like that would have, do you know what I mean? That would have been perfect. It would have got everybody hyped. But instead, he just sounds bitter and just jealous. It don't.
I think Fury's only back for the payday because he's whacked all his money on leaving. That's
Yeah,
all. That's the only reason he's back. Otherwise, he would have stayed retired. You know,
yeah.
I just think his day. He's in the same position as if you're out for 3 years, the landscape's going to change. And if
So
you
I
go in
think
and you don't,
there's a great response here by Mr. Manny187. Ha ha ha, you talk shit. Happy for you that you're making a comeback after flushing your own career down the toilet pan. You should beat Wilder, then start talking about AJ. Come for him in April. That's right. Why are you even focused on fucking AJ? You've just signed to fight Wilder. Like what? What's going on in his head? I think there's a little saying that goes around on the internet at the moment. AJ is living rent free in Tyson Fury's head, and Tyson Fury don't need to allow that. AJ's got enough of that pay per view money. He should, he should block AJ out, man. If it bothers him that much, he shouldn't.
he
It's
sees
crazy to
if
me.
I was Fury, he sees it as a man who's taken his belts that belong to him, and he can't understand how he lost those belts, and he didn't lose them
But he
because
needs to. This is a problem. If he can't understand what he did wrong and why he is where he is, he will be back there sooner than later.
I mean,
That
don't
is the
forget
that's the
he
truth of
won the
it,
amount
though,
of
brother.
belts Joshua won. He won most of the belts that Joshua won in one fight, whereas it took Joshua 3 fights to get those belts. Fury did it in one fight.
True, but my point still stands, man. If you don't know what caused you to come crashing down, yeah, even if you build yourself back up, the same thing is gonna take you crumbling back down again because you're not looking out for it. You don't know what it was, and I worry
He's a
about that. I
world
think
champion. He's a former world champion. He's achieved. He can walk away from the sport knowing that he achieved loads. He didn't
he
break any
can't walk
defenses.
away from the sport right now because
Well, he can't. But
he talked a big game. Sure, he's undefeated, but he said he was the best of his era, and he'll beat nobody else can touch him, and he'll beat everyone. And so
yes,
he's got to beat Wilder, and he's got to beat AJ to do that. And I think he'll get those fights, but I think he put himself at too much of a detrimental position.
I wish he'd gone the WBA route instead. I really did.
Yeah, because he could beat if he'd have beat Aquendo and then fought Wilder. I think a lot of people would be more willing to think he could do it. But I don't, I just think
I
it's a
think he
stupid
could lose
fight
and
at a
still
stupid
get a
time.
straight title shot against Quinto. I mean, I don't know why Frank Warren isn't petitioning for that. That's what they should be doing.
Yeah. So Chisora Dillian White looks like it's going to happen for December 22nd.
To me, I mean, I like the first fight, but it makes no sense. Really doesn't. It's
It
just a movie.
it does make sense though because it was so close. I had
Yeah,
Dillian White. I think you had Chisora at the time,
yeah.
and I think a lot of people had Chisora. A lot of people had White.
What year was that fight? December 2016.
Yes, I
So that's
think
been 2 years.
so.
So it's going to be a different result this time. No, I mean the result's going to be the same, but I reckon.
I think White's has come on too much since the last fight, but Derek Chisora's that odd cat, isn't he? I think he'll be up for this fight, big style, and I think it will be a barn brawler. Really do.
I can't see him winning. Chisora.
Ah, it's
He's only
close
in it
fight.
for the payday, isn't he? Only in it for the payday now.
Hmm. Whilst that's true, he still comes and puts on a good show sometimes. I think it would be a good fight, to be honest with you.
We'll see what happens.
Plus, the card will be stacked because if that's the headline event, they'll have to stack the card out as well.
A couple of, a year 5 world title fight, or someone like that.
Yes, but maybe also there's a few other fights that could be made for it. There's a few people waiting in the wings for a big fight at the moment, so who knows? Who knows? A lot of people were saying DAZN. A lot of American fans talking about DAZN, and they were saying the commentary and the presentation was not great yet. They need to hire new commentators, new analysts, because it wasn't great. That was what I was hearing from a few people who aren't biased against the zone or Eddie Hearn. They just tell it like it is, and I think it was fair from what I've seen and what was sent to me. It felt a bit like when Channel 5 do boxing.
Yeah, but nobody expects anything from Channel 5.
That's what I mean. Whereas the zone's a new sporting platform and they've got to be on point. So yeah,
I
yeah.
think the worst presentation I've seen was the David Hay.
Dave, yeah, they were terrible, weren't they? But Dave had no clue. Dave had no clue what they were doing. They were a comedy channel who used to run BBC reruns. So for them to do a live.
They hired
Hmm?
some guy from Kosovo who was probably, I don't know what he was, the shelf stacker or something, to fight David Hay.
It was crazy, mate. Crazy. Uh, da, 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 da. Did you know Anthony Joshua had the same kind of flu I've got in the week up until
I know he had the flu, but I didn't realise he had dengue fever.
no, he didn't have fucking dengue fever. Oh mate, that would have killed him. He wouldn't have been able to fight. No, I've just got a cold now. The dengue fever's gone, but I've still got a bit of a cold. And he had a nasty cold and flu leading up until the week of the fight, which is pretty brutal. So that's impressive. But yeah, I think that's pretty much covers everything for this week, bro. Unless you had anything to add.
You've got nothing to add. I mean, we'll be back next week. I don't know
Yeah.
how much content is there for next week for.
Well, there's Eubank Jr. and there's Callum Smith Groves, and let me have a quick little look at Box Rec. There might be some other fights on stateside. You never know. You never do know. Rec. No, not really. Victor Ortiz versus John Molina Jr. on Sunday. It's not a terrible fight, but it's not a great fight either. So no, not really, not much next week, but we'll come on for maybe half an hour and talk about the Grove Smith fight.
I don't think there's much for next week, is there really?
No, no. No. No, we'll come on for half an hour and discuss the Grove Smith fight. That's worth doing. Okay?
Thanks for letting me come on to that.
Yeah, man. Catch you very soon. Peace out. And yeah, leave a like and subscribe if you want to catch us next week. Peace out, everyone.